What's up, YouTube? What's happening? How y'all doing, man? Hey, I'm just gonna get right on into this. Tisha Tells. It's funny because I'm trying to do a reaction and actually kind of be unique on some of this stuff, man. But check this out, man. The Epstein files. A lot of people are pissed off at Trump because Trump wanted to, when he was running his campaign and stuff, one of the things that he was promising the people was he's going to open up the Epstein files and all this stuff so the public can know what's going on. He didn't do that. And all of this other hiccup and stuff is going on now that Trump's in office. So this video, along with Epstein, somebody else, oh, my bad. Somebody else is going to break down top DEM explains why Trump Epstein is nuclear and all that stuff. But anyway, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. This is off of Tisha Tells channel first. I think they put these together, man. Check this out.
So because this one's going to rub some people absolutely the wrong way. But I'm just calling it how I see it, based on data, not on drama or emotion. Trump ran on three core promises: release the Epstein files, drain the swamp, and end the endless wars. But here's what we've actually seen. He said, look, release the Epstein list. Then suddenly, there is no list. He said, no more wars. Now he's openly talking about attacking Russia. And then drain the swamp. Well, the swamp's grown fatter, louder, and more protected than ever before, it seems. Again, I'm not emotional about this. This is just an observation, not left versus right, just patterns and facts. And here's a new signal. Most people are missing this one. The Epstein file mess has now reached the FBI itself. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, director and deputy director of the FBI, are both reportedly considering stepping down if Pam Bondi remains in charge. That's huge. These are law enforcement officers with reputations built on order, loyalty to the law, and zero tolerance for political games. And now they're on the edge of walking away. And that screams one thing: loss of trust. If they don't want to be tied to what's happening behind the scenes, well, what does that say about what's actually going on?
They know.
And when I zoom out, based on structure, precedence, and personal experience, it starts to feel a little bit scripted. And here's my personal take. It's not a belief. It's not a claim. It's just what the inputs are spitting out when I look at it all. Trump came in strong in 2016, but maybe it was too early. The system wasn't broken enough yet. So Biden gets 4 years to run it into the ground. Now MAGA is desperate to save what's left. And suddenly Trump starts reversing, or so it seems. It reminds me of what I witnessed in Eastern Europe. NGOs came in, flipping governments, backing fake conservatives who'd win public trust, and then they'd flip the script overnight. Same playbook, different players. And here's a flashback that puts it all in context. Iraq, WMDs. Everyone remembers Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. Everyone remembers that. But what most people don't know is those WMDs, they were ours, American-made, supplied during the Iran-Iraq war. And when Saddam used them on the Kurds, pressure mounted. So he told the U.S., look, push me too hard, and I'll expose who gave them to me. Well, we couldn't have that, could we? So we invaded, not to stop Saddam, but to cover our own tracks. And who led the global PR campaign? Netanyahu. He pushed the WMD story so hard, it forced America's hand. Why bring this up now? Well, because that's what the machine does. It tells the public one thing while the truth hides in plain sight. Same thing now. Even Doge, what looked like freedom, was just a data funnel. And if even the FBI brass is backing away from this administration's handling of the Epstein case, well, we're not just watching history, we're smack dab in the middle of it. So what do we do? Do we sit and watch the collapse? Do we run away and start over somewhere else? Or do we get real serious right now about owning our future? Here's 3 ways to start gaining freedom for yourself today. 1, eliminate your debt. You can't be free if you're chained to payments. Own income-producing assets. Stop trading time for money. Build leverage. Fortify your mindset, because the real war is for your attention, so guard it well. Because in the end, whether it's Trump, Biden, Elon, or someone new, the cavalry is not coming. It's up to you. So stay alert, stay steady, and stay free. If you want to talk more about this, join me on Patreon. I'd love to see you.
The switch up is
the
insane.
FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, it's good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself. We've released the names.
We're
right?
about that.
And I've said it. Dan Bongino said it. We've reviewed all the information, and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself. Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on?
Yes.
Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you?
Yes.
If it exists.
All of this information coming out now, really what's not coming out now, just shows you that everybody's on the same fucking team. And honestly, Candace is probably right. It's because there's ties to, where, and that's why they're not releasing this information. Oh yeah, you guys saw we're still sending more weapons to Ukraine, right? We really fall for the same trap every time.
You're saying that Pam Bondi said on camera, we have a client list.
On the White House lawn.
I've seen the client list.
Yes.
And then yesterday, she's saying there's no client list.
There's no client list. And there was no systematic blackmail. That actually might be the most preposterous line in the document.
The whole thing that this tape shows that he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
Yeah, I agree, because the lie is more the lie at this point is not even part of trying to convince any of this is true.
Yes.
The lie is a signal to everybody else involved in the scheme that to the ultimate ends, the United States government will go to protect all of you.
Yes.
And that's the
Man, is that smart.
Purpose.
Can you say that again? Okay,
yes.
So it's a signal.
The lie is not for you and me. The lie is for those implicated to say, no matter what, we will protect you. And then we have to start asking the question, why? As in, what is the purpose?
Epstein, you have to hear this. Okay, here we go. August 10th of 2019. We got you the exact date. The President of the United States retweeted a story about the fact that Epstein had passed in a federal prison and that the Clintons might have had something to do with it, insinuating that Bill and Hillary Clinton might have unalived Jeffrey Epstein while in prison. Okay, that's where it all starts. Short time later, he started using a hashtag Clinton body count. Okay, the president of the United States. And it seems as if he started this whole thing to somehow throw mud on the Clintons. That's what it started as. He really wanted to blame them and do something on their behalf. Okay. However, what started happening was D'Souza and some Lynn Payton, all these other MAGA influencers started using hashtag Clinton body count, and it started to pick up steam. So now we're in 2020 and we've got these MAGA influencers now digging deeper into the story of Epstein. And they already believe that there's a deep state and that the wealthy get cover up and get special treatment for crimes they commit. And this guy, Epstein, who, yes, is a scumbag, totally fit into that. And they started finding out that he might have had a client list and a blackmail list because of the way he had things set up. So these MAGA influencers started talking about the protection of these high profile people in the United States getting special treatment, and that this Epstein guy we had to have all the information on him or we wouldn't uncover this deep state. So this is where Kash Patel came in and this Dan Bongino guy. They were influencers, podcasters, and they really leaned into it. Now, as we all know, they're DOJ and FBI, but they started talking about unearthing the files. Donald Trump never talked about unearthing the files. He only tried to blame the Clintons. And then he shut up until now. And you know how I know that? Because I searched the internet and I wanted to see how many times Donald Trump talked about Epstein since his first little tweet or retweet in August of 2019. And it was 0 times. He stopped talking about it until the other day when he was like, who keeps talking about this? We're over this creep. We don't have anything to say. There's nothing here. Don't look. Okay. That's the last time. 2019 when he tried to blame the Clintons, and then a couple of days ago. Now you might be asking, why does this catch on with them so bad? A couple of things are really important. The fact that he died in a federal prison, this Epstein guy, created suspicion for a lot of people. My goodness, you would think in such a prison there was, protection and whatnot. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is there is no doubt that Trump's retweets in 2019 of a conspiracy of a sort definitely fueled and put the spotlight on this case. And so, ironically, he's the one that started it all. He brought it up in 2019, and he's the one that can't shut it up. And finally, MAGA's distrust of all the institutions, this just fueled their distrust. And there you have it. That is the reason why MAGA is so obsessed with this case, because of Trump. Ironic, isn't it?
That's crazy, man. They are pissed off at Trump. And I don't even think that was the one I wanted to play, but that was real interesting right there. I think, this is the one right here. Yeah, this is the one right here. So that's a treat right there.
How is MAGA responding to Trump saying that the Epstein client list never existed? Well, see for yourself.
I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If this is the verdict, there's no Epstein client list. If we don't get accountability for the thousands of victims that were abused, then I'm jumping ship. And all of you should as well.
This is all going in the trash. I do not support Trump anymore. He's a liar. He's a part of the deep state. I do not support Israel. I will not be supporting him anymore. He's part of the deep state.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity.
So this message goes out to Donald Trump and his people. I've been asked before, what would it take for you to not support Donald Trump anymore? I always said, well, it'd take a lot. I've literally made thousands of videos on this app supporting you, sir. So if you're deciding that Epstein is the bridge that you're going to burn, I got the match, sir. You're telling me there's no list after you told me there was a list. You're telling me that you don't care about these victims. This is a promise you made to the American people, sir. Non-negotiable. You've always been in tune with your supporters. Always. 100% spot on. Not this time, sir. You missed this one.
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I am prepared to die on this hill. If Donald Trump is part of the Epstein list and why he has decided to pretend like doesn't exist anymore, then the war that I've been waging on liberals, I plan to wage on Donald Trump if he cannot explain or make sense of this soon. It's pointing to that he is implicated.
So I voted for Trump, and this Epstein thing is just insane. But I think it's showing us one thing, and that's our country is unified for the first time in a long time. And I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, we all know this administration is guilty.
Happy Menace Monday. Last night I stayed up and I took a whole bunch of screenshots about the conversations going on over on X. I try not to go over there because it makes me feel sick, but I knew there had to be good stuff. And there was. I didn't even bother with Laura Loomer or Elon or anyone. We knew what they think. And we know that Elon just like 2 days ago said release the files. So we know he's having a big belly laugh right now. But Trump's people are freaking the F out. And I checked every account, hardcore MAGA, for a long time. And, you know, they really did have this thing that, you know, saving the kids and getting all the pedos, and that they were promised these were going to be released. You know, Bondi said, I have the files on my desk. There's hundreds of hours of videos we're watching. Like, they said all this stuff, and suddenly it was like, oh yeah, there's nothing. And we can't release anything because there's nothing. I told you guys Trump was freaked out about that about 3 weeks ago. Like, it's under his skin, even though he plays it off. So here we are. And maybe they're afraid Elon was going to get too close or was going to keep harping on it. Anyway, so yeah, not good stuff is going on out here, right? We've got ICE to deal with, and there's ways I think we can work together to help ourselves feel better and feel empowered and work on fighting them. And I'm going to talk about that in another video. But then I also want you to remember, even when it looks really dark, you don't know that good isn't happening in the dark too. Just because you can't see through the fog doesn't mean when it clears, there won't be some good things there. So all this was happening in the dark. The fact that this happened is so good for us because it makes his people look like clowns, which we knew they were, but it makes them look like more clowns to their people. Like you'll see in the comments, they're pissed. And it makes them not trust his administration, right? And then, but he's always the one that appoints them. So at some point, and then, so they are going to start jockeying for positions around there, or they may get fired. You know, who knows? But the infighting is going to be wild. And in the meantime, this stuff hurts his following. And I know you think, no, it doesn't matter. They'll never go. And once again, I'm going to do a cognitive dissonance video and show you that it can be just the right piece that happens. It doesn't matter how much time occurs. One piece can happen like this, and they can walk away. That can happen, and it happens all the time. It happens here all the time in this video, so on TikTok. So anyway, from here on out, I'm just going to show you tons and tons of those comments because I thought it was better than just showing you like 4 or 5 when there was thousands and thousands and thousands. So here's just some of the ones I screenshotted, and enjoy.
Somebody is effing lying. They should be fired ASAP. God damn. Third party. We do that. Third party. Yeah. Somebody should be fired. Yeah. What a disgrace. At least don't say Epstein wasn't guilty. Oh my God. The part that killed me is they trying to prove to us that he killed himself. Really? Really? The man killed himself. Oh my God. We got more proof. We got more proof through the grapevine that he ain't have no reason to kill himself. Oh man. Here we go. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh my God. Wait a minute, y'all. Right here. Honestly, we could have gotten this from the Biden administrator. Every single time. No one longer believes anything that comes out of DOJ or the FBI mouth. Yeah, especially with this Diddy trial, man. That's terrible. 90 terabytes and all this stuff, and y'all ain't got nothing. Now y'all talking about this Bama going to do 2 years? You got people hoping that he going to get time served and go home. That's crazy how this whole thing started. Now it's almost like he finished. I'm doing it wrong, man. Oh my God. Yeah, if it's that's a good one right there. Okay. I went straight to Bren. If there's no Epstein client list, if there's no list, then why did he kill himself? Why did Epstein kill himself in a high security jail with broken cameras, right? Golly. And then his girlfriend or whatever did time. Man, this is so stupid, man. I don't know how. Yeah, we're gonna give the public this. They don't care. I wonder what Elon Musk thought about this crap. I ain't gonna back it up anymore. How do I register American Party X? Man, it's going too fast. Uncle Mike don't read that fast. While leaders on, then like there was some big reveal to happen. Yeah, see, this is what y'all need to understand. This is what's happening. While leaders on, Trump said, "Yeah, we're gonna open up the files and everything. Y'all gonna be able to see who's on the tape." I know everybody looking at they scared as I don't know what. Everybody that's on the list, on the flight list, right? Everybody was pissed off and scared. It was like, oh shucks. And then when close the door, man. Dude, you think I'm crazy? I gotta tell him something. And you know I ain't gonna let that. I'm on the list. I'm on the list too. This Trump talking, y'all. This Trump talking. I'm on the list. Duh. You think I'm gonna let these people see that? Come on, man. Work with me, baby. Work with me, baby Productions. That's what they saying. Work with me, baby. All right, I got my man. They don't want to hear all that mess, man.
You're saying that Pam Bondi said on camera, we have a client list.
On the White House lawn.
I've seen the client list.
Yes.
And then yesterday she's saying there's no client list.
There's no client list. And there was no systematic blackmail. That actually might be the most preposterous line in the document.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
Yeah, I agree, because the lie is more the lie at this point is not even part of trying to convince any of this is true.
Yes.
The lie is a signal to everybody else involved in the scheme that to the ultimate ends, the United States government will go to protect all of you.
Yes.
And that's the for
Man,
what
is that smart.
purpose?
Can you say that again? Okay,
yes.
So it's a signal.
The lie is not for you and me. The lie is for those implicated to say, no matter what, we will protect you. And then we have to start asking the question, why? As in, what is the purpose?
Mm.
Okay, I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. If any of you are satisfied, you can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation. Clap. Okay, I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve. So I was going to get to that. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
If Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a clients list, then explain to me how JP Morgan Chase paid out $290 million to the victims and millions more to the Virgin Islands. Banks don't shell out that kind of money without a paper trail. So who were they protecting? And then there's this. The Department of Justice swore under oath that they seized over 30 hard drives, dozens of photographs, CDs, and tapes from Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment. Now, these were not vacation photos. No, this was material. This was people that were filmed and photographed with underage girls, children. This was blackmail material. Ghislaine Maxwell's rotting in prison right now. And they're telling us that there's no there. Well, what is she in jail for? Right? Who was doing the perversion? Who were the people, these deviants? They know who they are. And do they just want us to believe that maybe it's just too sensitive? Maybe it's to protect? Maybe it's too dangerous? To protect who? Dangerous for who? Suddenly they want us to believe that Jeffrey Epstein was just a pervert with a mansion, right? Just a wealthy deviant. Now,
by itself.
I think this guy had deep ties to foreign governments, to intelligence agencies, and God knows what else. This is not going away. This is not being swept under the rug. This is a bipartisan issue for all Americans. They are protecting some very powerful people.
Powerful.
But you know what? You and I would never get away with such things. We are held to a completely different standard. And those victims had names. And you better believe those predators have names too. And we all want them.
Can you imagine? Dude, can you imagine operating above the law? Basically, these people are operating above the law. That exists. So you can do something, right? And get away with it, man. That's why you get all these movies and stuff. Boy, when I figured out, oh my God, here we go. Check this out. This is the last one. There's going to be 3 in this one.
It's great to welcome back to the program the leader of the Democrats in the House, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. So great to have you on. I really appreciate your time.
Good afternoon. Great to be back on.
So there's many places we could start, and my audience is eager to hear from you as to essentially the plan for these next 16 months before the midterms, for the midterms themselves. Maybe just sort of to start with, can you give us an overview of the numbers are what they are in terms of who controls the Senate, who controls the House? You have tools, although they are maybe more limited than we would want them to be. Do you feel as though right now the Democratic Party in the House is using every tool that there is to combat what this administration is doing?
Yes, we're going to have to continue to unleash every single legislative tool, every single communications tool, and every single organizing tool, both to push back against Donald Trump and House Republicans who have served as nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda, to maintain our operational close unity, which has been the case over the last 6 months. And then, of course, to be able to forcefully make the case to the American people over the next 16 months, win the hearts and minds of the American people as part of our effort to take back control of the House. We only need 3 seats to do that, and it's an urgent necessity.
Okay, good. So given that, one of the questions I get over and over again from my audience when we speak to folks in the House or in the Senate is, if the idea is let's use every tool we have, let's be the firewall against authoritarianism, which I think I've heard you say before, and yet many Democrats still vote for nominees and bills that come from this Republican Party. Give us an explanation as to why is that strategic? Why are we helping them do anything at this point in time?
Well, I certainly can't speak to what has taken place over in the United States Senate, and am unfamiliar with some of the more controversial votes, perhaps, that have taken place relative to nominations, although my sense is that many of that activity took place very early on in Trump's tenure. But that's a question that I think my colleagues in the Senate need to address. But what I will say is that House and Senate Democrats have been entirely united in pushing back aggressively on this one big ugly bill, which is a disaster for everyday Americans and is a big reward for Donald Trump and his billionaire donors. It will hurt millions of people who will lose their health care. Hospitals will close. Nursing homes will shut down. Community-based health clinics will be unable to function. And as a result, people are going to die in every state across the union. That's why Democrats in the House forcefully pushed back and Democrats in the Senate forcefully pushed back. And not a single Democrat voted for Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. Uniform opposition. And I think that we'll see that continue in terms of how we communicate the principled opposition that we articulated to the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, the largest transfer of wealth from everyday Americans to billionaires in American history. The whole thing is outrageous. It's deeply unpopular. And so we've had some messaging success in terms of reaching the American people, but much more needs to be done.
Okay, let's stick with the bill because this is a great opportunity maybe to better understand the strategy. One of the things I said to my audience early on when the bill went from the House to the Senate initially was, I was super honest with my audience. I said, listen, I believe this bill is going to pass. I know we're hearing from Rand Paul and Susan Collins is very concerned about elements of it. And Lisa Murkowski is, worried. But what I expect to happen, because from on high down, right, from the White House on down, I believe they've decided we must pass this bill. There will be a sort of war of attrition wherein everybody will get a little something until they become vote 48 and 49. And when we get to 50, in comes J.D. Vance. Now, if indeed that was inevitable to a degree, one of the things I wonder about, and I want to hear about the strategy from you, is might Democrats be better off acknowledging we may not be able to stop the passage, calling the offices of Republicans, like ultimately they're going to go for it. What about trying to get some things in the bill that we can put our name to that might actually help somebody? I'm not a strategist. Is there a reason why that's not the approach?
Well, the entire approach by Donald Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans in connection with this one big ugly bill was to try to jam it down the throats of the American people and make it as extreme as possible. And I really don't think that there was a reasonable opportunity to actually work in a bipartisan way. We said from the beginning of this Congress that when it comes to doing things like lowering the high cost of living, making life better for the American people, rewarding hard work and people who play by the rules and making sure that they can actually live the good life, good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement, that is what Democrats are all about and will be willing to work with anyone in good faith who's trying to achieve those objectives. But Donald Trump promised that he would lower costs. In fact, lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they've gone up. And the entire reason, David, as you know, that Donald Trump chose to pursue the budget reconciliation approach is so they don't have to work with Democrats in the House or in the Senate, could avoid the filibuster requirements in order to make this bill as partisan as necessary. The other problem is that we fundamentally disagree with Republicans about their approach to health care. We believe that in this country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, that healthcare should not just be a privilege available to the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. It's a right that should be available to everyone. And that's been what we as Democrats have been all about, from initially Social Security, building upon that with Medicare and Medicaid, then the Children's Health Insurance Program in the 90s, then the Affordable Care Act, then enhancements to the Affordable Care Act that were done during the early days of the Biden administration. We are actually trying to get to a point where every single American can afford access to high quality health care. Republicans consistently have been trying to rip health care away. So that was a non-starter out of the gate in terms of our support for this toxic legislative effort.
Last question on the bill, and this will kind of get us into 2026. One of the things that I've seen floating around is if Democrats take the House in November 26 and are sworn in January 27, there is still time to stop the parts of the bill that don't go into effect until 2027. My amateur understanding is that that would need to be done through legislation that even if it passed the Senate, Donald Trump would veto as president. Is this even realistic at all, or is it sort of pie in the sky stuff that we shouldn't be thinking of? We've got to work on this a different way.
I do think it's important to draw a clear contrast between what we would do as Democrats if the American people put their trust in us, give us the gavels back, and what Republicans have done in terms of damaging everyday Americans. And one of those areas certainly has to relate to repealing the parts of the one big ugly bill that will rip away health care from the American people and rip away food and nutritional assistance from children, veterans, and seniors. And that is our commitment as Democrats to work on that. Now, it requires some partnership on the other side of the Capitol and the other side of the aisle, just a handful in the Senate in terms of what would be required. And of course, we'd actually have to convince the administration that they've made a big mistake, that Donald Trump actually said he was going to love and cherish Medicaid, but has done the exact opposite. And he's hurting his own people. Hospitals in rural America are going to close.
Yeah. So it sounds like unless Donald Trump can be convinced that this was such a bad idea that he wants to undo parts of it, it's not something that can be done without his signature.
Yeah, and in the system that we have, of course, in terms of actually reversing any legislative initiative, you will ultimately need the House, the Senate, and the president to get on the same page. But of course, we can begin to take a substantial step in that direction by taking back the House and potentially flipping the Senate, which would increase the pressure on Donald Trump to perhaps reverse course in part.
All right. So then let's talk about 2026. I think that whenever we speak to folks in the Democratic Party on the House side or the Senate side, the reaction from my audience is often well-intentioned. I like the ideas. I don't know that there is a cohesive and coherent enough big picture other than what Trump's doing is really bad to turn things around in November of 26. What one person jokingly said, this can't all come down to whether the top tax rate is 37 or 39%. Like, there's a bigger crisis here. There's a bigger issue that we need to contend with. And Democrats need to put together a vision that is specific, but not pedantic and sort of technocratic. So give us a sense of what are the two or three really, areas of focus other than Trump's a disaster, which he is, that you think the party needs to focus on as we get into 2026?
It's going to be important for us to really drive home a message that is authentic to who we are around the economy and building an economy that actually works for hardworking American taxpayers, addresses the high cost of living, because housing costs are too high, grocery costs are too high, utility costs are too high, childcare costs are too high, and insurance costs are way too high. America's too expensive. And, the American people have understandably had enough.
Yeah.
And we've got to seriously commit to changing that situation to ensure that people, when they are working hard and playing by the rules, actually aren't simply surviving, but they can thrive in the United States of America. To me, that's an economy that delivers a situation where everyone can afford to live the good life. 5 elements to it, in my view. 5 elements to it. Pretty simple. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement, which means, by the way, keep your hands off Social Security and Medicare. That should not be too much to ask. Those 5 elements as part of the American dream, that when you work hard and when you play by the rules, you can achieve some measure of comfort in terms of the life that you live in the United States of America. And far too many people are struggling to achieve that life, notwithstanding the fact that they're working hard and playing by the rules. Second, we have to deal with healthcare. It's also far too expensive, and it's life-changing, life-saving, and life-sustaining, because you can have all these other things going on that we fix in society, but if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And clearly, there's a different vision between who we are as Democrats and Republicans, literally ripping healthcare away from millions of Americans, largest assault on healthcare in American history. We have a different vision of how to get to a place where we can actually achieve universal healthcare coverage for every single American. And then the third piece I think that's going to be important for us as Democrats to address is cleaning up corruption. We are seeing record corruption in this town right now. It's out of control. And we've got to deal with it decisively as it relates to the White House. They are the swamp, right? They are the swamp. But we also have to deal with it in the Supreme Court, particularly as it relates to Thomas and Alito. And we have to deal with it in Congress, which is one of the reasons why I've come out in strong support of ending congressional stock trading. Not a single member of Congress should actually be able to trade stock when you are on the public payroll. It makes no sense. We're strongly supportive of it, and it will be part of our clean up corruption agenda, I believe, as we approach the midterm elections.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about, when it comes to this Epstein fiasco that MAGA has now embroiled itself in, I've never been a big fan of the entire thing. You know, I didn't follow it breathlessly like the current FBI director did and others, but I do see a potential opportunity to exploit the division that's building within the Republican Party over, we were told that Trump was going to be the guy to be transparent and finally tell us the truth. And now it seems as though he's either involved in or benefiting from lack of transparency. To what degree do you want Democrats getting involved in this, or do you think strategically it's better to step aside and let them do their own thing?
Well, it's a mess over on the other side of the aisle of their own making.
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally, the American people do deserve transparency, do deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the reality right now is either one of two things happen. Either Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and the MAGA extremists lied to their own people as it relates to peddling this conspiracy theory around Jeffrey Epstein. By the way, he killed himself during the Trump administration in Donald Trump's first term.
Yes.
So either they lied about the conspiracy that they've been fanning the flames of for years in order to try to boost turnout or convince people that they were righteous and the other side was somehow evil, or they actually are lying right now and covering something up, which is why they have failed to release whatever files in totality that might exist. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
They either lied or they're covering something up. And our commitment as Democrats is to make sure that we deliver the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Those efforts are being led by Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, and Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on oversight, working with many of our colleagues who were former prosecutors, some of whom were federal prosecutors, to try to get to the bottom of it all for the American people.
Yeah, they may have been right about the conspiracy, but they may have been the ones carrying it out, which is an incredible situation to find themselves in. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democratic minority in the House of Representatives, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Man, you know what I think? I think you can't say all in any situation, so I don't think everybody thinks like this, but I'm thinking the higher ups, all the higher ups that's playing on this checkerboard, they see value in negativity. If you keep the people in fear in any kind of way, right? then you can just extort money out of them. For example, if everybody working to stop crime, they can put a man on the moon, they can make an electric car, but they can't find a way to 100% stop people from doing crime. Crime is getting worse and worse. Let's say it's the opposite, it's going down. The more crime go down, the less the economy moves. You don't have to buy locks, security, downloads. You don't have to buy virus protection for your computers. You don't have to buy extra security and locks and all this stuff. So the economy goes on. Now on the other side, which I want to say Republican, I don't know. That's the Democrat. The Democrat is letting all these bad people in the country, so the news report can report that they burnt that lady up in New York, set her on fire. That was a person that did not belong in the country that made that happen. The Democrats, and I'm not saying us, we down here trying to do everything the right way. They allow so many people that can walk across that border. Even not only that, we're going to give you room and board. And what makes it so bad is we're going to give you some type of monthly fee so you can feed yourself. Criminals. These are criminals. Look it up. Don't look it up, man. Anyway, next thing you know, now the Republicans, what they do is they get all into this trafficking. And I think Trump and all this want to protect the borders to get the bad people out, but they want to be able to control all the kids coming in because these are some sick people. These sick, rich men. I figured it out, man. This is just my opinion. This is how I feel. Because there's no way in the world you're going to cover up this man's, you're going to say he killed himself. Look, man, we got to do something. We got to do something. We got to get rid of this guy because he going to flip something. The people want to see something, man, like the 9/11. How in the world you going to tell me a plane hit the Pentagon? Look this stuff up, man. I live real close to the Pentagon. I used to work at the Pentagon. When this happened, I went down there. 3 days later, everything back to normal. Huh? There is no such thing as a airplane falling from the sky. And then 3 days later, everything is normal. They pulling some tricks over our eyes, man. Don't believe Uncle Mike. Look it up for yourself. What makes it so bad is I just seen a video, man, I swear, boy, I was fighting back tears. I just seen a video where the person was saying, this is a higher up type person. In fact, I'm going to play it for you. I think I saved it some type of way. This guy was saying that the United States is the number one, source. I said hub. It's the number one country that is doing trafficking and stuff. So hold on for a minute while I go to the bathroom. I'm going to pull it up. Meanwhile, almost an hour later, golly, I can't stand Instagram, man. I sent this to somebody for safekeeping so I can find it. This ain't it. It was something else that some serious people in some high level places was talking about it. And I looked it up. I actually Googled it. And Google said that Asia and other places are higher than the United States, but only because they including marriages that they make people marry each other, and then you are, for lack of a better word, a slave to your husband, and you got to do all the housework and all this stupid stuff. But also I don't like Instagram because I can't start this from the beginning. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing apparently. But when I refresh to start it, because I want y'all to hear this, maybe if I do it like this. Nope. Man, this thing is stuck. So if I hit refresh, it's going to mute it first. It starts off muted.
It's an international crisis. It's a domestic
check this out.
reality. It happens in cities, in small towns, in airports, online, and sometimes right next door. Children, women, and men are being exploited for labor and for sex, not in some distant place, but right here at home in America. Trafficking thrives in silence, in broken systems and abuse of power, and in the belief that some lives are worth less than other lives. But scripture is very clear. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and the helpless and see that they get justice. This is not just a legal issue. It's a moral one. It's a gospel one, because every person, no matter their circumstance, bears the image of God. We're called to do more than care. We're called to act. So let's fight for freedom. Let's speak up and expose this evil. Let's break the silence and challenge this industry and all those who benefit from it. Because justice demands it and love requires it. Human trafficking is
okay. Now, let me read this. I was reading this right here. And human trafficking still generates about 150 billion a year around the globe, with 2/3 coming from commercial sexual exploitation. Nearly 2 million children are abused in trafficking, not just in some far away land, but here in every state in the land of the free. Yeah. To love freedom is to shine its light into the shadows. That's a shame, man. To uphold justice is to protect the powerless. That's me, y'all. I try to protect the powerless. Bravery sees the unseen face and oppressive force and decides to act. Look here, man, I'm gonna get on up out of here. So I'm thinking the Trump people and everything is all for hiding this trafficking. I really think that old men with a whole lot of money like to do some crazy stuff like hunt people. You know, they get that movie, what's that movie called? Hotel Wanda or something like that. Man, all that stuff is based on some real billionaire type stuff, man. They would find somebody, throw them in the woods, so you got an hour to go hide and we're gonna come hunt you. Stuff is true, man. Oh my gracious, you watch the movies Taken. Where do you think they get this stuff from, man? Oh my gracious, and we are finding out. Then they turn around and spin it back to us and put it in a movie for our entertainment. Yeah, man, this is crazy. I'm saying too much, man. I'm saying way too much, man. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me on this, man. This is crazy. I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.